kind of collapsed here in the snowbank. I'm on the Highland backpacking trail in Algonquin Park. And the trail itself isn't too bad, I'm just really out of shape. A lot of people have been through with snowshoes, so it's reasonably well packed down. So it's not too hard to follow it. Some of the hills are kind of steep for me though. I just had to, as you can tell, take a bit of a breather. Although I am finding it a little bit difficult to breathe, period. Definitely out of shape. This is my first major walk since my leg surgeries. So it's going to take a bit of getting used to this and adjusting myself. Being really careful with where I put my feet, because if I step off the trail, I'll fall right through to my waist almost. I actually, when I sat down, I made myself a bit of a recliner chair here, so I'm just going to chill out. I haven't been walking all that very long either, but all the muscles in my legs are just completely deconditioned. So this will be an interesting challenge. I haven't seen any animals yet. It's stopped snowing. It was snowing for a little bit earlier. And it'll be getting dark soon, and I don't know how far it is to my first campsite. It's going to be, at this pace, quite a while. I'll probably be setting up in the dark. That's never fun. But what do you do, you know? I got here a little bit late, and at the rate that I'm going, it's very slow, and it's very difficult, and the pack is very heavy. My backpack there, all 50 pounds of it. I do have some snowshoes that I'm going to be trying out later on, probably tomorrow. I don't need it right now, which is fine because it'll slow me down even more, and I can't really afford to go any slower than I already am. Otherwise, it'll be very late before I get there. I'm probably not going to have time to gather firewood. So it'll be set up the tent and go right to sleep. Got a little bit of a sweat going on here, and that's not a good sign. Not for these temperatures. It's about -3 right now, Celsius that is. And it'll be going to about -12 tonight. 4 degrees Fahrenheit, or in and around there anyway, maybe 10 Fahrenheit, I don't know, something like that. So, we'll see how it goes. Beautiful scenery though. Starting to snow again a little bit. Alright. How can I get up? Well, still going, haven't hit the campsite yet. Beautiful little river here. I figure it's as good a place as any to take a break. It's pretty fast flowing. I certainly wouldn't want to fall in that because that is going to be cold. Although, I could drink it. I do have a water filtration kit with me, so I could lower a bottle into that with some rope just right here off of the bridge. And then just filter it, and it'd be fine to drink. Very cold water though, so you don't want to guzzle too much of that. You waste a lot of body energy and body heat trying to warm that up, which won't serve you well when it comes to hypothermia later on. But that's okay. I've got a cooker and a stove, I can always warm it up. No problem. That's beautiful. Well, I didn't do as well as I had hoped. I'm just so out of shape. My legs are not up to where they should be yet. So I had to take a lot of breaks. I had to stop a lot. And instead of making it to the campsite where I wanted to end up, I needed to go, it sounds kind of sad, but I mean I needed to go about 5 kilometers, and I made it 4. And it was just, I got to a railroad crossing. It's an old abandoned railroad. They converted it to a trail system. There's no snowmobile tracks on it. It's nice and flat, the ground's solid. There's snow under me. So I'm stopping here because I really don't have a choice. I can't keep going any further. Directly in front of me on the actual hiking trail is a very, very, very steep incline. It's got to be, well, at least 100-foot climb, and it's just too damn steep. So I'm not going to be able to pull that off, not with the condition that my legs are in right now. It's just too painful. So I was running out of light. It was getting cold, it was getting dark, and I figured, it's best to just, before I get into trouble, it would be better if I just, know when to call it quits and set up my tent here on the old abandoned railway system that they converted into a foot trail. It just seems like the safest, most prudent thing to do. I mean, I don't want to end up being a danger to myself by doing something stupid and going for longer than I can. I don't know what the temperature is right now. It's getting pretty cold outside. It's not too bad in the tent. I just got in, and I've got my legs in the sleeping bag here. I'm going to take this coat off because if I wear all of this stuff inside the sleeping bag, I'm going to overheat. I'm going to start sweating, and I'm going to get a lot of condensation, and that's not going to be good for me in the long run. So there you go. I'm more than a little disappointed in myself and my performance, but this is the longest walk that I've been on since my leg surgeries, so I can't be too hard on myself, I suppose. I guess with that in mind, I'm doing okay. This is very rough terrain, and you put 1 foot wrong and you sink in the snow right up to your waist. It's pretty deep. But where people have packed it down with snowshoes previously, it's pretty firm. But if you lose your footing just a little bit and you put your foot off that 1.5 foot wide path that they've stomped down, then you sink right into it, and getting out again is a real pain in the butt. You have to unload the pack, or get it off your back rather, and try and get out. It's kind of like a turtle upside down on its back. It's kind of comical. Fortunately, that only happened once, so, I guess in the grand scheme of things, I shouldn't be too hard on myself. This is not easy hiking, this is not easy going, and just because of the condition that my legs are in, and I'm deconditioned in general, this is very challenging. This is a very, very challenging path for me. Some people would probably have no problem with it. I've got some snowshoes, I haven't put them on yet, only because they would actually slow me down and burn up even more energy, and I don't have a whole lot of it right now. So, well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Instead of doing, the 10K that I was planning on doing tomorrow, maybe I might be a little bit more, conservative and just get to the campsite that I wanted to, pitch my tent there, and just enjoy the day and hike around the area without a 50-pound backpack on. That'll be easier. Anyway, I think it's time to call it quits for the night and see if I can get some sleep and stay warm. Right. I'll see how that goes. Anyway, good night. Well, got through the night well enough. A lot of condensation inside the tent. And a little bit inside the sleeping bag too, because there was a bit of snow in here last night when I got it climbed in. I guess I did okay. It dropped down to probably around, well, the weather forecast called that said it was going to be -10 last night. I think they lied. I think it was a little bit colder than that. I'm not sure exactly, but in and around there somewhere. It's pretty chilly. I really don't want to get out of the warmth of my sleeping bag here. Not that it's incredibly warm, it's just barely warm enough. But I have no choice because full bladder requires some attention. And after that, I think it might be time to get something to eat. Well, there's the first morning.
I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be able to go. There's a bit of a showstopper just up here to my right. The trail goes in this way. I actually spent the night on this old abandoned railroad train that's been track that's been converted into a trail system. So to the left is where I came from, and this is where I've got to go. Now this part isn't so bad. It's the part way up there, and when you get to that little plateau there, you can actually see how much worse it is. It's very, very steep. It's very, very high. And if I slip and fall on that, then I'm going to be in very big trouble. So I'm going to reconsider that just a little bit. It's cold. Very cold. I'm trying to get this stove lit here, and I'm having a bit of trouble keeping it lit. I'm trying to melt some snow, but it would seem that I had it working at first for a little bit, but it seemed that there was some condensation going into the burner itself, and it snuffed it out. And it's pretty cold, so we're probably having some difficulties with that. I'm not sure what I can do about it. At least at this point, I have no idea, except hope that I can get it lit periodically and burn off whatever moisture's in the element there in the burner. It's not going so well. I've tried it about 5 times. It lit the first time like right away, and it kept going and did its thing, and then just snuffed itself out. So I'm not sure exactly what the problem is, and I'm not sure exactly how to resolve it. Joys of winter camping. Maybe joy isn't the right word. So here we see some fresh moose tracks right alongside my footprints from last night and a little bit earlier this morning. These moose tracks were not there last night, I can tell you that right now. So obviously some large moose came from along the trail, walked along through here, and there's my tent. So my tent, this is the first moose track right here. This is where he stopped and turned around. And you can see the scuff marks of these ones here, where they're not clean prints. These were he turned. So those are his back legs turning around, and you can see that one right there has got a good scuff on it. So that was where he's trying to get away from the area quickly. I guess my snoring scared him off, or who knows what, but whatever it was that decided to get him to turn around, I'm grateful for it. You can see here's some more of them, and these ones are quite deep and quite aggressive, so he was probably trying to get some speed up on that. Very large. I put my foot down here beside them, and that's the size 11 boot. And those are some of the moose prints right there beside it. And there's some more. That's him trying to get away, or him or her, who knows. I can't tell which sex it is just based on the prints. I'm not that good of a tracker, and I'm not sure it can be done anyway. So yeah, he came along here and stopped right here. There's my tent. Okay, so just taking a much needed break here. All packed up from last night. Everything was covered in ice and frost, just from the moisture from my breath while I was sleeping throughout the night. So it took a while to clean up. A little disappointed with my Primus Omni-Fuel stove. I got it going at first, and it seemed to have been doing okay. And then the flame snuffed itself out, I think maybe because a little bit of ice or something got into the burner area. So I could not get the thing, well, relit, yes, but I just couldn't get the thing to stay lit. So that was a bit of a problem because I couldn't warm up any of my water. All my water was frozen for the last, from the last couple of days. Not much I can do about that, really. Except thaw it out, which I can't do because I can't get the stove going. So since all my water is frozen, I have to go to plan B, which is collecting water from a river and filtering it. Now, considering this time of year and considering how cold it is, it's probably not a huge concern for bacteria in the water, but it's always better to be safe. Hearing some loud thumping going on behind me. I don't know if there's a moose in the area. Saw a lot of moose tracks, you know, while I'm walking around. There's certainly a lot of evidence of them. I know they're prone for doing their business right on the trail, so they tend to just poop right on the trail. And you always know when you see it. The pile of poop is pretty much larger than your head, so it's a real giveaway what's been there. No doubt about that. So, I have a sip of water here because I'm a little bit thirsty. The great thing about these, they say this one came with 3 different water size bladders. This is the larger one, the 64 ounce, so I can just carry this with me for quite a while until I have to refill it again. So the water in here is dirty, so to speak. It has not been filtered yet. I've just attached the filter to the top of it here. Now this particular Sawyer kit says that it can filter approximately 1 million gallons of water, which is more water than you probably need in your lifetime. I don't know, maybe that's a little optimistic, but that's what they claim. And you can drink everything. Mountain fresh. Well, not exactly. It's Algonquin Park river fresh. But hey, what are you gonna do? That was lovely. Now I'm just gonna take the filter off and put a cap on the bag. This way I can stow it a little bit more easily. And the nice thing about the Sawyer kits is it actually comes with a syringe that you can back wash it. So you just take off the mouthpiece, attach a syringe to it, and push fresh water back through the system, and it just squirts out where the filter is in the back there. That's probably how they claim to get 1 million gallons of water, is because it is expected that, you know, every time you use it, you're going to backwash it and clean that out from debris or anything like that. Now, I'm not going to bother with it. I mean, you can see there's no debris whatsoever on that. It was very, very fresh water. It came out of a very fast-moving stream, so there's no particles there that I can see. So I'm not going to stress myself about that right now. And there you go. Got some snowshoes. They're working pretty well. The trails that I'm walking on are pretty hard packed from other snowshoers anyway, so I don't have a huge concern about sinking in. If I step off the trail, I'm going to sink in pretty deep, like right up to my waist. So don't do that. Now, considering I'm walking on hard pack, I'm not sure if the snowshoes are actually slowing me down or not. So I'm going to try the next stretch without the snowshoes and see how that goes. Catch you soon. Well, I'm out. It's very cold in there. Today wasn't actually that bad. I'm working up a bit of a sweat, as you can see, just hiking out of the woods. And it took me a few hours, and I wasn't all that deep in by a lot of people's standards. I mean, I made it about 4 kilometers, and couldn't tackle one of the hills that was ahead of me, so I just camped where I was, and my legs are just too sore. Way too sore to try and hang out here for the next 3 days hiking around. They're not in good condition. My body's deconditioned. And those hills were just brutal. The snow, the freezing temperatures, sub-freezing, went down to like -12 last night. It's maybe, what, I don't know, a couple degrees below freezing right now. Let's see, no, it's actually 7 degrees right now. That's pretty good. It explains why I've worked up such a sweat. I'll try this again maybe in September once all the snow's gone and we're out of bug season. I passed another guy, just not all that far in there. He had a huge backpack on, probably almost maybe the same size as mine, but a little bit less heavy perhaps. And you know, snowshoes and just dressed for the weather, seemed fine. And he was trying to get to the same campsite that I was, and he was already calling it quits. And like, okay, because yeah, I'm just gonna see if I can find a flat spot and try and stomp it down and camp there. So that, as it turns out, was only around 700 meters in from the parking lot. He definitely would have not made it as far as I did, that's for sure. And to add insult to injury, he goes, yeah, I left my sled back there. I was figuring I'd go back and get it. Sled? Wow. So I kept hiking and I came across this sled and it was huge. It was absolutely loaded down. He had another backpack with a water barrel on it that he had probably had his food stored in. I don't know, I guess he's using that as a bear box or something. And that had a backpack frame on it. You had that on top of the sled. And the sled itself was a giant, like an absolutely monstrously large Rubbermaid box that could have easily handled, I mean, for me, a box that big would have lasted me a month in the woods. He's only going for 2 nights. That thing must have weighed a ton. I mean, I can go for a week with what I've got on my back. And this guy had enough that easily could have lasted me over a month, and he was only spending 2 nights in the woods. It was unbelievable. So, I mean, I thought I was a little overly ambitious. This guy was just off his rocker if he thought he could pull that off. Anyway, I'm going to get out of these extra clothes now that I don't need them anymore, and make the long drive home. Thanks for joining me. It's a lovely day. Kind of want to stay.